Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's the CD guy, Johnny Z here. Thank you so much for tuning back into the channel, and today I'm going to do a retrospective type of review here on the finalized ACDC Power Up European Tour. It's over now. I want to share my thoughts. ACDC played 24 shows across Europe on the Power Up Tour from May 17th to August 17th in support of the Power Up album here, released in 2020. And this was the band's first tour since the doomed Rock or Bust tour, which saw lead singer Brian Johnson have to leave the band halfway through due to hearing loss. Then you had the whole Axl Rose situation. But ACDC showed the world that they were going out on their own terms. They were not done yet, reuniting with Brian Johnson here for this tour, but not without losing Cliff Williams and Phil Rudd, who were replaced by Matt Laug and Chris Chaney. This tour posed a ton of questions to the ACDC fan base. Can ACDC still pull off a tour at their age? How would the new guys fit in with the band? How would Brian Johnson's voice hold up throughout the tour? And perhaps most importantly, what's next? Not what's next to the moon, although I do love Power Age, but rather, what's next for ACDC following this tour? The band only played dates in Europe here, so one has to wonder if they do plan on coming to North America and the rest of the world anytime soon. I think performing 24 dates spaced out across 4 months was a great way for the band to, test the waters to see if they can still tour at their age, and in my opinion, they passed with flying colors. Now, if you're expecting ACDC from 1981 on this tour, you're setting yourself up to be let down, but if you're expecting, ACDC of today, giving 110% on stage, then you're going to enjoy the show for what it is. These are legends, and, at this point, they have nothing left to prove, but still going out there and giving the fans the best show possible. Specifically for Brian and Angus, this was a statement tour here that, even though they're older now, they're still giving 110% on stage, even though Angus is not moving perpetual motion anymore on stage, and Brian can't hit the notes like he used to. They're still giving 110% and, still showing that you're never too old to rock, and so that's really admirable there. And for Brian, this was, a great comeback after having to leave in 2016 and now to come back onto the stage with ACDC. It's just a great story, and throughout this tour, Brian always looked like the happiest guy in the room, or the happiest guy in the stadium, I should say, for every show, and looked like he was having the time of his life up there. And his vocals got stronger as the tour went on, and even watching on YouTube, obviously I could not be there, but watching online, these shows gave off an infectious energy for sure. As for Matt Laug on the drums and Chris Chaney on the bass, obviously it's a bit jarring to see two new guys up there, especially since, Cliff Williams has been a mainstay in ACDC for decades now, and I had suggested before this tour started, they reunite with Simon Wright and Mark Evans, but obviously there's still some bad blood from years ago, and Angus would probably feel like he was doing a disservice to Malcolm Young to bring them back into the band, to work with them again, but it would have been the return of two former members, but, instead of that, we got two new guys, and, I did think Matt and Chris did a really good job here, and it looked weird, of course, for the first few shows, but after that, they started to fit in. Stevie Young and Chris Chaney did a pretty good job on backing vocals as well, and that's one thing ACDC always had, was very distinct backing vocals with Malcolm and Cliff, and, I think that Stevie and Chris Chaney did it justice for sure. And, when it comes to Matt Laug, who previously played with ACDC on the Power Trip concert 2023, he did a really good job as well. It's certainly not an easy gig to, join ACDC, all these years later now, but they did a great job in my opinion, so a ton of props to them for sure. Let's take a look at the standard set list for the tour, which you guys can see right over here. Kicking things off with If You Want Blood, number 2, Back in Black, number 3, Demon Fire, Shot Down in Flames, Thunderstruck, Have a Drink on Me, Hell's Bells, Shot in the Dark, Stiff Upper Lip, Shoot to Thrill, Sin City, Rock and Roll Train, Dirty Deeds, Done Dirt Cheap, High Voltage, Riff Raff, You Shook Me All Night Long, Highway to Hell, Whole Lotta Rosie, Let There Be Rock with the extended guitar solo by Angus, and the encore, TNT, and for those about to rock, we salute you. Also sporadically played on the tour were Giving the Dog a Bone, Hell Ain't a Bad Place to Be, and Dog Eat Dog. Very strong set list here, and it was great to hear Stiff Upper Lip in the set list once again, and, to hear the newer stuff live as well. I think it really worked in a live setting, the stuff that they did, and so just goes to show, ACDC, this far into their career, are still writing, classic material, even if it is modern-day ACDC. It's great stuff, and it still comes across really well live. So, the big question of ACDC, what's next for them? I do think that we will get more tour dates. I do think we'll eventually get a North American leg of the tour, although probably not until sometime in 2025. ACDC have done more than enough to ride off triumphantly at this point, but I think this tour proved that they can still play and will most likely take the show across the world, and I just don't see them hanging things up without playing, one more time in Australia and North America, and I'm hoping personally for one last chance to see them live, especially with Brian. I just don't want the last time I saw ACDC to have been with Axl Rose. So that wraps up this tour review / retrospective for the ACDC Power Up European Tour. Still no future dates confirmed. We don't know what the future holds for ACDC, but just wanted to share my thoughts on the tour and my idea for what's next for the band. I really enjoyed this tour. I thought this was a great return to form and really a great statement for the band, and so I'm excited for what the future holds for ACDC. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel down below, turn on the bell for notifications so you don't miss a new upload, and let me know down in the comment section below, A, B, C, or D, how would you grade ACDC's European leg of the Power Up Tour? I definitely want to hear from you. And until next time, it's the CD guy, Johnny Z, signing off. Take care, everybody.